Arcane Season 2 Act 3 comes out this Saturday, and I won't lie to you, I have some concerns. But before we get into what I want to tell you about, I just want to let you know that this video has spoilers for Season 1 and Season 2 of Arcane, all the way up to Season 2, Episode 6. My first and biggest concern is with Jace. So, Jace has just killed Victor, and he's come back from this corrupted Hextech core, and we don't know what's happened with Heimerdinger or Echo. I assume those two characters, their stories will be resolved in the next 3 episodes. But I do think it might be a bit sudden because we hardly saw Jace this season so far. We've seen him very briefly this second act. And I feel like if we start to hear what he's been going through, that could be an issue because with the exposition of it all, will it be too much or too little? Will they sort of like jam in a load of exposition to understand what has happened to him? And if so, because he's now killed Victor, will he sort of like revert back to normal? Will he still be the same person as he was before? These are some questions that I don't feel like we'll get to fully explore. And once again, this is a massive pacing issue. And I really do hope that the third act is paced better, that it will have the same pacing as the rest of Act 2, where it feels all very kind of slapdash put together. And I know that's not really a criticism of the show itself, but the writing. Because the show looks amazing, and the writing is still really well done. It just feels like there are bits and pieces missing. And I know a few of you disagreed with me in the past when I've said this. So I just want to say, like, what will happen with Victor and Jace and Maddie and Caitlin, Vi and Jinx and Aisha's death, and how this impacts the rest of the show in only 3 episodes. Because we basically got, like, the entire first act dedicated to the aftermath of Season 1. And I really enjoyed that. And I thought we would get this kind of slow burn into Season 2. Like, in the first act, it was well-paced, right? And I know it was a bit brisk for some people, but at the same time, it kind of got all its points across, and there was moments to breathe and understand what was happening. In the second act, it feels like they've done a time jump, and then they've kind of just been like, oh, well, we're not really going to explore the characters and what their actions have caused in the past and what has led them to be these characters in the time jump. We're just going to be like, oh, Caitlyn's having doubts, Vi's a pit fighter, Jinx is now the hero of some revolution, and we don't really get any more exploration of that. And that's my problem. Is it going to be in this final season that we're just kind of still going off of that without proper kind of explanation and exploration of these ideas? I'm worried that Aisha's death will be overlooked, and I know that's a crazy statement because I feel like a lot of people disagree with me and be like, no, the writers will totally kind of explore Aisha's death and how it affects Jinx and Vi and Caitlyn and whatnot. And maybe if Vander dies too in that explosion, but I don't know because Warwick is a character in League of Legends. But honestly, I'm not too familiar with the game. But at the same time, I just feel with how the pacing has gone in the second act, is it will overlook sort of things that the audience will be interested in, like sort of Jace's motives. Will those be explored? Will Aisha's death, will that be explored as well? Will it have an impact on Jinx and Vi and Caitlyn and whatnot? Because I'm worried that it just won't, and it will just be kind of like briefly touched upon of, oh, they're dead, and we get a couple scenes of each character mourning, where in the first act of the season, we saw how Caitlyn Kierman's mum, her death, really shook the entire sort of like core of Piltover. We saw how that had deep-rooting effects throughout the rest of the city, and it kind of still impacts the show to this day. It's the entire reason that Caitlyn became the sort of authoritarian sort of dictator that she was for however brief a moment that was. Like, in the show it's months, but we didn't get to see that really. I just think everything will be a bit too hasty for my liking, and I know I'm very like pedantic and sort of try and pick away at very small issues and things that bug me, right? And I'm trying not to do that here, but I'm just worried that Ambessa's switch from defender of Piltover and sort of like tool of Caitlyn to overarching evil. Like, I can understand that she was the villain from the start. She's the one that's put all these pieces in their starting positions and has been manipulating it from behind the scenes. But if you look at that from the eyes of, like, a Piltover citizen, these people are here to protect you and now they're invading you. And I'm sure that's happened in real life. And, like, if you could look through the annals of history, like, you would see that, like, a protective force has then gone to invade another country or another state or whatever. So, I mean, it could happen, but at the same time, it just feels weird how, like, Caitlyn's done this 180, and instead of being like, oh, we're going to arrest Caitlyn and install someone else, some other powerful member of Piltover to like, follow my demands and see out my requests, it's now, let's just get rid of them all. Let's just do a hostile takeover. And also, I wonder what will happen with Mel's story going on the fact we've just talked about Ambessa Madada. And how will that be explored in the third act? Will she just suddenly appear again? Or will she be back in this pit that she was stuck in the first couple of episodes? It's more, she's been this integral role in the TV show, and now she feels sidelined. I feel like this is the issue that I had with Stranger Things, that they had such a massive scope and they just ended up sidelining a lot of characters or not properly exploring what they wanted to do. And I'm talking about Stranger Things Season 4 especially, because you had, like, Mike and Will and Argyle and Jonathan just randomly driving around California. And honestly, I can't really remember much of that. Like, I haven't watched it again since it came out because it was just that disinteresting and bizarre. And they brought back Dr. Brenner, who was dead for some reason. Hopefully I'm not, people here have presumably watched Stranger Things, because both of them are Netflix properties, and Stranger Things is, like, one of the biggest television programs in the world. Not right now, like a good few years ago, but still. I'm just worried at the end of the day that there'll be glaring issues that are overlooked, and we'll kind of get this, every character will be doing something contrived. They won't be acting on what they would normally be doing, but they're just doing it to move the plot forward. I feel like I've repeated the same few points over and over again in this video. I kind of just like to do it in one take and be confident in the fact that I'm delivering something good. But besides that, I just want to say, like, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I had some thoughts. Really, I want to hear people's feedback. So if you do have some thoughts on when the season will go, please tell me in the comments below, because that would be brilliant. I'm not really sure if I'll be doing many more Arcane videos in the future. I'll probably cover the next, like, act, and then I'll probably branch out and to do some other things. But at the moment, the channel hasn't really been seeing much success with anything other than Arcane, which is a sign, to say the least. But hopefully I can just, like, talk about subjects that I'm interested in, and hopefully that'll interest you as well. But yeah, hopefully you'll have a brilliant day. Leave your feedback in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye!